No matter how hard you try, you will never be able to control or change another person. The only person you are in control of is you. Your thoughts, your actions, your feelings. Mel Robbins. Imagine a life with less frustration, less anxiety, less time spent worrying about what other people are doing, thinking, or saying. Imagine reclaiming all that wasted energy and pouring it back into yourself, your peace, and your goals. This isn't a far-off dream. It's a practical reality you can start building today with two simple, yet profoundly powerful words. Let them. Welcome to our deep dive into a concept that has been a game changer for millions around the world. Mel Robbins, the Let Them theory. Over the next little while, you're going to unpack this transformative idea. If you've ever felt exhausted by trying to manage relationships, control outcomes, or win approval, then you are absolutely in the right place. Now, for those of you who might be new to her work, Mel Robbins is a powerhouse. She's a New York Times best-selling author, one of the most sought-after motivational speakers globally, and the host of the incredibly popular Mel Robbins podcast. You might know her from her groundbreaking book, The 5-Second Rule, or The High Five Habit. Mel has a unique gift for breaking down complex psychological concepts into simple, actionable tools that you can use to create real change in your life. She's not about fluff. She's about science-backed, no-nonsense strategies that get results. Her work, including the Let Them theory, which she's discussed extensively and is also the title of one of her books, comes from a place of deep understanding, personal experience, including her own battles with anxiety and ADHD, and a genuine desire to empower people to live better lives. So, what exactly is this Let Them theory that has captured the attention of so many and offers such profound relief? At its heart, it's a mindset shift. It's a tool to help you detach from what you cannot control, specifically other people, and refocus on what you can control, yourself. In another few minutes, you will learn and explore what the Let Them theory truly means and, just as importantly, what it doesn't mean. Why do we get caught in the exhausting cycle of trying to control others in the first place? How to implement the crucial second part of this theory, Let Me, which is all about reclaiming your power. Real-life examples of how Let Them can bring peace to your relationships with family, friends, partners, and even colleagues. The incredible emotional freedom, authenticity, and stronger boundaries that emerge when you start practicing this theory. And finally, we'll discuss some important nuances and practical steps to integrate Let Them into your daily life effectively. By the end of our time together, you'll have a clear understanding of this life-altering approach and feel equipped to start applying it, paving the way for more peace, clarity, and personal power. Ready to dive in? Let's get started. The problem isn't you. The problem is the power you unknowingly give to other people. Let's be honest. How much of your mental and emotional energy is spent worrying about, reacting to, or trying to change other people's behavior? Maybe it's your partner's habits that drive you crazy, or your kids aren't making the choices you wish they would. Perhaps it's a friend who never seems to reciprocate your efforts, a boss whose moods dictate the office atmosphere, or even strangers on the internet whose opinions get under your skin. We've all been there. This urge to control, to manage, to fix, to get others to see things our way, often comes from a good place. We want what's best for them, or so we tell ourselves. We want harmony. We want to avoid disappointment or pain. Sometimes it's about our own anxiety. If we could just get everyone to act in predictable ways, maybe we'll feel safer, more secure. Mel Robbins points out that we often live our lives as if we can control other people, despite all evidence to the contrary. Think about it. How often has your attempt to force someone to change actually resulted in lasting, genuine transformation that they wanted for themselves? More often than not, it leads to frustration, resentment, arguments, and a feeling of banging your head against a brick wall. You end up stressed, they end up defensive, and the relationship suffers. This isn't just about big confrontations. It's also about the subtle ways we try to manage perceptions, the over-explaining, the people-pleasing, the constant seeking of validation. We adjust our behavior, hoping to elicit a certain response, essentially trying to control what others think of us. And it is utterly exhausting. This cycle of trying to control what is inherently uncontrollable is a massive energy drain. It keeps you tethered to others' choices, moods, and actions, leaving you feeling powerless when they inevitably do something you don't expect or like. Consider the mental gymnastics. If I just say this in the right way, maybe they'll understand. If I just do this for them, maybe they'll appreciate me more. Why aren't they doing what I would do in this situation? These thought patterns keep us stuck in a loop of reactivity. We're constantly anticipating, managing, and often being disappointed. Mel Robbins shares a story about being at her son Oakley's pre-prom photo party. She found herself getting worked up about everything. Why her son didn't have an umbrella in the pouring rain, why the kids were planning to eat at a taco stand instead of a fancy restaurant. She was in full-on control mode, obsessing over things that, in the grand scheme, weren't her concern. Her daughter, Kendall, gently told her, "Mom, it's Oakley's prom, not yours. If they want to go eat tacos in the pouring rain before prom, let them." That was a light bulb moment. This desire to control often stems from a deeper fear, a fear of uncertainty, a fear of not being enough, a fear of outcomes we can't dictate. But the paradox, as Mel so brilliantly explains, is that the more you try to control something or someone external, the more out of control you feel. The constant vigilance, the emotional investment in others' choices, it chips away at your inner peace. The truth is, people will be who they are. They will make their own choices, learn their own lessons, and feel their own feelings, regardless of your best efforts to orchestrate their lives. Trying to manage this is like trying to hold water in your fists. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through. Practical takeaways and reflections for this segment. Take a moment this week to identify one relationship or situation where you consistently try to manage or control the outcome or another person's behavior. What are you really afraid of in that situation? How much energy are you expending? Just notice it, without judgment. This awareness is the first step. The core realization here is that your peace is too precious to be constantly disturbed by things you fundamentally cannot change. This isn't about giving up. It's about wising up to where your true power lies. If your friend are not inviting you out to brunch this weekend, let them. If the person that you're really attracted to is not interested in a commitment, let them. If your kids do not want to get up and go to that thing with you this week, let them. So, what does Mel Robbins mean when she says, "let them"? It sounds so simple, almost too simple. But within these two words lies a profound shift in perspective and a powerful tool for reclaiming your emotional well-being. Let them means consciously deciding to stop interfering with, trying to change, or obsessing over other people's choices, feelings, actions, or opinions. It's about acknowledging the fundamental truth. You cannot control another adult human being. They are on their own journey, with their own motivations, their own lessons to learn, and their own way of seeing the world. When your colleague is in a bad mood, let them be in a bad mood. It's not your job to fix it. When your adult child makes a career choice you don't agree with, let them make it. It's their life path. When someone misunderstands you or judges you unfairly, let them have their opinion. You can't control their perception. When your friends are making plans that don't include you, let them. This doesn't mean you won't feel a pang of disappointment or even hurt, but you stop trying to force your way in or change their minds. The let them theory is about radical acceptance. Accepting people as they are, right now, not as you wish them to be, or as they should be. It's about observing their behavior as information. As Mel often says, when people show you who they are, believe them. If someone consistently doesn't make an effort, let them shows you that. You then get to decide what to do with that information. Now, it's crucial to understand what let them isn't. It is not about being passive or a doormat. It is not about condoning or enabling abusive, disrespectful, or harmful behavior. It is not about suppressing your own needs or feelings, or never speaking up for yourself. And it's certainly not about giving up on relationships. Mel is very clear on this. Let them is not about letting people walk all over you. It's about choosing where to invest your precious energy. If someone's behavior is crossing your boundaries or is genuinely harmful, let them show you that, and then you decide what action you need to take to protect yourself, which might include setting firm boundaries, having a difficult conversation, or even ending a relationship. The focus shifts from trying to change them to taking care of you. It's also not about becoming cold or indifferent. You can still love someone, care about them deeply, and simultaneously let them be who they are and make their own choices, even if you don't like those choices or they cause you concern. This is particularly challenging for parents with adult children or for people in close romantic relationships. You can offer support, you can express your feelings. We'll get to that in the let me part, but you cannot live their lives for them or force them to align with your expectations. Think of it like this. You're dropping a rope in a tug of war. You're not losing. You're choosing not to play a game that drains your energy and yields no positive results. By saying, let them, you are detaching from the outcome of their behavior, not necessarily from the person, unless that's the healthy choice for you. This detachment is where your peace begins to bloom. You stop taking their behavior so personally because you recognize it's about them, their patterns, their issues, not a reflection of your worth or your ability to control them. Practical takeaways and reflections for this segment. Consider an area where you feel resistance when you think about letting them. What are the underlying fears? Is it a fear of loss? A fear of conflict? A fear of them making a mistake? Remind yourself that letting them doesn't mean you endorse their behavior or that you don't care. It means you are choosing to prioritize your own serenity over the futile attempt to control another sovereign being. It's a powerful act of self-preservation. Start small. The next time you feel that urge to jump in and fix or control something someone else is doing, pause, take a breath, and quietly say to yourself, let them. Notice how it feels. Focusing on what you can't control makes you stressed. Focusing on what you can control makes you powerful. The let them theory is incredibly liberating, but it's only half of the equation. The other, equally crucial and deeply empowering part is what Mel Robbins calls the let me principle. Once you decided to let them do or be whatever it is they're choosing, you then consciously redirect that conserved energy and focus back onto yourself. This is where you reclaim your agency and your power. So you've said, okay, my friend is consistently late. Let them be late. Now what? Now you say, let me decide how I will respond. Let me decide if I will wait and for how long. Let me decide if I will communicate that this impacts me. Let me choose to bring a book, so I'm not just sitting there fuming. Let me decide if this pattern is something I can continue to tolerate in this friendship. See the shift? You're no longer a victim of their behavior. You are an active agent in your own life. If your family members are gossiping, let them gossip. Then, let me remove myself from the conversation. Let me change the subject. Let me decide not to participate or engage. Let me surround myself with people who uplift rather than tear down. The let me component is about taking responsibility for your own actions, reactions, thoughts, and feelings. It's about setting your boundaries, making choices that align with your values, and prioritizing your well-being. This is where you stop being a reactor and become a creator of your own experience. Mel emphasizes that you can't control your initial emotional reactions. They are often automatic. If someone says something hurtful, you'll likely feel that sting. But let me is about what you do next. Let them say what they will. Let me not internalize it. Let me recognize that their words are a reflection of them, not me. Let me choose to respond with grace or not respond at all. Let me practice self-compassion if I feel hurt. This let me framework applies to all areas of life. Worried about what people will think if you pursue a new passion? Let them think whatever they want. Let me pursue what brings me joy and fulfillment. Let me focus on my own journey and my own definition of success. Feeling pressure to live up to others' expectations? Let them have their expectations. Let me live a life that is authentic to me. Let me define my own worth. The let me part is critical because without it, let them can sometimes lead to a place of passive resentment or victimhood. If you just let them without then actively choosing your own response and focusing on your own needs, you might still feel disempowered. Let me is the proactive stance. It's about asking yourself, what do I need in this situation? What is within my control? What action can I take to honor myself and my peace? What thoughts will serve me best? This isn't about being selfish. It's about being self-responsible. When you consistently apply let me, You build self-trust, self-respect, and resilience. You start to realize just how much power you've been giving away and how incredible it feels to reclaim it. Practical takeaways and reflections for this segment. This week, when you practice let them, consciously follow it up with let me. For every let them do X, ask yourself, okay, now let me do Y. Write it down if it helps. For example, my partner is stressed and snapping. Let them be stressed. Let me go for a walk to clear my head and not take it personally. Or, my boss didn't acknowledge my hard work. Let them. Let me keep a record of my achievements for my own satisfaction and for future reviews. Feel the shift in power as you move from focusing on their behavior to focusing on your choices. This is where true freedom lies. Acceptance of another person, as they are, is the foundation of a healthy and loving relationship. When someone feels that you accept them as they are, they feel safe with you. The beauty of the let them theory, combined with let me, is its applicability across virtually every type of relationship and situation. Let's explore some common scenarios where this mindset can bring profound relief and positive change. In romantic relationships, how often do we try to mold our partners into our ideal? I wish they were more romantic. I wish they'd manage money my way. Why can't they just understand what I need without me saying it? Applying let them. If your partner isn't a natural planner for dates, let them be that way. Then, let me initiate planning sometimes if it's important to me, or let me communicate my desire for a planned date, or let me appreciate the other ways they show love. If they have a different way of relaxing after work than you do, let them. Then, let me find my own way to unwind and respect our different needs for downtime. This doesn't mean you accept incompatibility on core values or disrespectful behavior. It means you stop battling their inherent personality traits or preferences that aren't actually harmful, just different from yours. It allows you to see your partner for who they truly are, not who you're trying to make them. This fosters genuine connection with family, parents, siblings, in-laws. Family dynamics can be incredibly challenging, often steeped in old patterns and unspoken expectations. Your parents still treat you like a child. Let them. Then, let me respond as the capable adult I am. Let me set boundaries around their unsolicited advice. Your sibling makes choices that frustrate you. Let them. Then, let me focus on my own life and offer support without judgment if they ask for it. Let me limit interactions if they are constantly draining. Your in-laws have different traditions or opinions. Let them. Then, let me choose to be respectful while also honoring my own family's values and traditions. Let me not get drawn into every debate. The let them theory helps you detach from the drama and emotional reactivity that can plague family gatherings, creating space for more peaceful interactions. With children, especially older children and adult children, this is a tough one for many parents. You want to protect your kids and guide them. But as they grow, your role shifts. Your teenager doesn't want to join the family outing. Let them, within reason and safety, of course. Then, let me enjoy the outing with those who do want to come. Let me find other ways to connect with them. Your adult child is making a decision you think is a mistake. This is where let them is vital. Let them make their own mistakes. It's how they learn and grow. Then, let me be a supportive presence they can turn to, without saying I told you so. Let me trust their ability to navigate their own life. Mel Robbins stresses that this doesn't mean being a permissive parent who sets no boundaries for younger children. It's particularly powerful as children mature and need to develop their own autonomy. You're letting them experience natural consequences, which is a powerful teacher. At work, office politics, difficult colleagues, demanding bosses, the workplace is ripe for let them moments. A colleague takes credit for your idea. Let them reveal their character. Then, let me find appropriate ways to ensure my contributions are visible to the right people. Let me document my work. Your boss is a micromanager. Let them have their management style. Then let me do my best work, provide clear updates, and perhaps seek clarity on expectations to minimize interference. Or ultimately, let me look for a role with a more trusting environment if this is untenable. Someone at work constantly negative, let them be negative. Then, let me limit my exposure to their negativity. Let me focus on the positive aspects of my job and colleagues. By not getting caught up in trying to change others at work, You conserve energy for your actual responsibilities and career growth. Friendships. Friendships change and evolve. Sometimes friends don't show up the way we expect. A friend isn't as responsive as they used to be. Let them have their reasons. They might be overwhelmed, going through something, or the friendship might be shifting. Then, let me focus on the friends who are reciprocating. Let me reach out to express I miss them, without demanding a specific response. Friends have different interests or priorities now. Let them. Then, let me cultivate friendships that align with my current phase of life, while cherishing the good memories with others. Let them. In friendships allows for more grace and less resentment, and helps you identify where to invest your social energy. Practical takeaways and reflections for this segment. Choose one specific relationship scenario from your life this week. Consciously apply the let them and let me principles. For instance, if it's about your mother-in-law criticizing your cooking, let her criticize. Let me smile, say thanks for the feedback, and continue to cook what my family enjoys. Observe any shift in your internal state or the dynamic. Remember, the goal isn't to win or be right. It's to find your peace and maintain your authenticity. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes, freeing you from countless unnecessary battles. When you stop seeking validation, approval, or permission from others, you take back control of your life. When you consistently practice the let them and let me principles, something remarkable begins to happen. You start to experience a profound sense of freedom and a cascade of positive changes in your emotional landscape and your relationships. Let's talk about the beautiful fruits that grow from this shift in mindset. The most immediate and noticeable benefit is increased inner peace. Imagine the sheer amount of mental energy freed up when you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, when you stop obsessing over what others are doing or thinking, when you stop replaying frustrating interactions. This energy isn't just conserved, it's available for you, for your joy, your creativity, your well-being. The constant buzz of anxiety and frustration begins to quiet down. You'll find yourself less reactive, less easily triggered. Situations that once sent you spiraling might still be annoying, but they lose their power to derail your entire day. You're no longer outsourcing your emotional state to other people's behavior. Another incredible outcome is a surge in authenticity. When you're not constantly trying to manage others' perceptions or elicit specific reactions, you give yourself permission to be more genuinely you. You start making choices based on your own values, desires, and needs, rather than someone else's. You speak your truth more easily, though still kindly, because you're less attached to how it will be received. You pursue goals that matter to you, not the ones you think will impress others. This authenticity is magnetic. It draws people to you who appreciate the real you, and it naturally filters out those who don't. Hand in hand with authenticity comes the development of stronger, healthier boundaries. When you let them be who they are, and then let me decide what's acceptable for you, boundary setting becomes a natural consequence. You're no longer vaguely hoping people will treat you well. You're clearer on what you will and won't tolerate. And because you're less afraid of their reaction, because you let them have their reaction, you're more likely to communicate and uphold those boundaries. This leads to relationships built on mutual respect, rather than unspoken resentments or power struggles. You'll also experience improved relationships. Ironically, while it might seem like letting them creates distance, it often does the opposite for healthy connections. When people feel accepted for who they are, not constantly judged or pressured to change, they feel safer and more open with you. You stop relating to the potential you see in them, or the version of them you want them to be, and you start connecting with the person who is actually in front of you. This allows for deeper, more genuine intimacy. You give others the dignity of their own journey, and in return, you often receive more honesty and respect. Furthermore, you'll cultivate incredible emotional resilience. Life will always throw curveballs. People will disappoint you. Things won't always go your way. But with the let them mindset, you bounce back faster. You don't get as bogged down in the why of other people's behavior. You accept it as information, process your feelings, and then refocus on your let me, your sphere of control. You become less fragile and more adaptable, knowing that your well-being is anchored within you, not in external circumstances or people. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, you reclaim so much wasted energy and time. Think of the hours spent stewing, worrying, arguing, trying to convince. When you redirect that energy towards your own growth, your passions, your health, and nurturing relationships that are reciprocal and supportive, your life transforms. You start to build a life that truly reflects who you are and what you value, free from the exhausting weight of trying to manage the unmanageable. Practical takeaways and reflections for this segment. Take some time this week to visualize what your life would feel like with more peace, authenticity, and stronger boundaries. What would you do with that extra emotional energy? How would your relationships change if you approach them with this mindset? Recognize that these aren't just nice ideas. They're achievable outcomes of consistently applying the "let them" theory. Start celebrating the small victories. Every time you choose to let them, and then let me, you are cultivating these incredible fruits of freedom. You will never be able to control what is happening around you. You will also never be able to control your emotional responses. But you can always choose what you think, say, or do in response. That's the source of all your power. The "let them" theory is incredibly powerful, but like any tool, its effectiveness is enhanced when applied with wisdom and an understanding of its nuances. It's not a one-size-fits-all magic wand, and there are situations where it needs careful consideration. One crucial nuance, as Mel Robbins herself points out, is that "let them" does not mean becoming a passive bystander to abuse, harm, or injustice. If someone's behavior is genuinely destructive, threatening, or crosses significant ethical or legal lines, letting them simply be isn't the answer. In these cases, let them show you who they are, and then your "let me" becomes about taking decisive action. Let me protect myself/my children. Let me report this. Let me seek help. Let me remove myself from this dangerous situation. The theory is about releasing control over their choices and character, not abdicating your responsibility to ensure safety and uphold your values. Another important distinction is with children. While "let them" is excellent for fostering independence in older children and adult children by allowing natural consequences, it applies differently with younger kids who still need active guidance, boundary setting, and protection from their parents. It's about finding the balance between allowing age-appropriate freedom and fulfilling your parental duties to teach and safeguard. So, let them make a mess with their toys, but let me teach them to clean it up. Let them be upset they can't have more candy, but let me uphold the boundary for their health. It's also vital to remember that "let them" doesn't mean you can never express your needs, feelings, or try to resolve conflict. The difference is how you do it. You're not trying to force them to change or agree. You are sharing your experience. Using "I" statements is key. For example, instead of "you always interrupt me," "you need to stop." Trying to control, you might say, "When I'm interrupted, I feel unheard. Let me express that it's important for me to finish my thoughts." You let them react how they will, but you let yourself communicate your needs respectfully. So, how can you begin to weave this transformative theory into the fabric of your daily life? Here are some actionable steps. Start with awareness. For the next week, simply notice how often you try to control others or get stressed by their actions. Don't judge, just observe. This is your baseline. Practice the pause. When you feel that familiar urge to jump in, fix, or control, take a deep breath. Create a tiny space between the trigger and your reaction. Whisper, "let them." In that pause, silently say to yourself, "let them." Feel the subtle release as you mentally drop that rope. Pivot to "let me." Immediately ask yourself, "Okay, now what can I control? What do I choose to think, say, or do?" Let me. Manage your expectations. Understand that people will be who they are. Adjust your expectations accordingly. This doesn't mean lowering your standards for how you deserve to be treated, but it does mean being realistic about others' capacities and patterns. Focus on your lane. Keep bringing the attention back to your own thoughts, feelings, and actions. Are they aligning with the person you want to be? Be patient and kind to yourself. This is a practice. You won't get it perfect overnight. There will be times you slip back into old patterns. That's okay. Just gently redirect. Mel Robbins often talks about the high five habit. Give yourself some grace and encouragement. Identify your non-negotiables. Know your core values and boundaries. While you let them be who they are, you also let yourself honor what is fundamentally important to your well-being and integrity. This isn't about achieving a state of emotionless detachment. It's about achieving emotional freedom. You will still feel things, sometimes intensely, but you won't be controlled by those feelings or by the external events and people that trigger them. You'll have a powerful internal locus of control. Practical takeaways and reflections for this segment. Choose one small, recurring frustration in your life, perhaps the way someone loads the dishwasher or a friend who is always late. This week, make it your let them laboratory. Each time it happens, consciously practice the pause, let them, and then let me. Notice the internal shift. Remember, the let them theory is a journey of reclaiming your peace and power, one situation, one breath, one choice at a time. It's about learning to navigate the world with more grace, less resistance, and a deeper connection to your own strength. Mel Robbins' let them theory is more than just a catchy phrase. It's a profound invitation to a more peaceful, empowered, and authentic way of living. It's about recognizing the limits of our control over others and the limitless potential we have when we turn that focus inward to what we can control, our own thoughts, our own actions, our own responses. By embracing let them, we give others the dignity of their own journey. And by embracing let me, we reclaim our own. We free ourselves from the exhausting cycle of trying to manage the world and instead learn to manage ourselves with grace and strength. We cultivate inner peace, build more genuine relationships, and unlock energy we never knew we had. This isn't about an overnight transformation, but a daily practice. Each time you choose to let them, and then powerfully choose your let me, you are taking a step towards a life with less friction and more freedom. What are your thoughts on the let them theory? Is there a situation where you can see this making a real difference in your life? Share your insights and experiences in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you, and your story might just inspire someone else. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content on personal growth and well-being, and share it with anyone you think might benefit from this powerful message. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. Remember, you hold the power to create peace in your life. Let them be them, and let you be wonderfully, authentically, and powerfully you.